Have you ever heard about chimney? And are you familiar with word sweeper? And have you ever know a phenomenon called a chimney sweeper? So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Oki Muhammad Nugraha, and today I'm going to talk about a dark side of part of history of England, which is called a chimney sweeper. So what is chimney sweeper? So chimney sweeper is actually a phenomenon in England. Actually from word chimney, chimney is like in Indonesia we call it cerobong asap. And sweeper is a profession where people clean the chimney, but something unique about it that this is actually kids who cleaned the chimney. So I want you guys to imagine that a kid, a child, a tiny, working in a small circumstance, dark, dirty, and you know this part of dark side of England happened in the 1700s and 1800s. This is the story of chimney sweeper will show us how hard of kids' life in England during that time. That could be their poor people, poor kids, and how people treat them very bad. So it's actually, or we can say, a child labor. So why the kids did clean or sweep the chimney? So there are when there are a moment when more people start burning a coal in their house to heat their nights. So chimney needs to be cleaned also. So the smoke from the coal create dirt in the chimney, so the chimney needs to be cleaned. But grown-ups couldn't fit in the small places actually, so they used little kids because they were small and cheap to hire. These kids had a terrible life. They have to climb up the a little dirty place, chimneys, and we're gonna talk more about how people try to help them, whether maybe society and the circumstance also. For kids or for the chimney owners, it's actually important to keep the chimney clean because it has to be clean because it to stop fire actually. So the dirt of coal up in the chimney, if it's not cleaned, it will cause fire. But chimneys often really tight and twisty, so they use small boys, sometimes 4 years old. That's saddest part of the story. Those kids had to climb up these dirty tubes with they brought brushes, long brushes and scrubs, and often the house of the employer did not provide them with such proper or important tools, so they mau tidak mau have to use their hands and knees to climb up the chimney. So these kids were often alone, no parents or families, or we call it in Indonesia na yatim piatu. Oh, in England we call it orphanage. Or sometimes sometimes people who actually have parents, have families, but their families or their parents decided to sold them to like agency of chimney sweeper because they are in condition of or under condition, or let's say poor. they couldn't afford good foods, they couldn't afford clothes, or even they don't have a place to sleep, they don't have roof at all. So the only thing that could they do and maybe have the biggest influence to their life is to sell or sold their kids to the chimney sweeper agency. So how is the work looks like or feels like? So it was one of the dangerous work in the world. It is considered as a one of the dangerous work in the world, as the worker is actually a child, because kids or the chimney sweeper could fall and get hurt from the up of the chimney, because sometimes also the chimneys still have ashes, like hot ashes or coal that not actually already cool but still burning. In Indonesia we call it like arang. Or another problems, like they face a long-term disease, long-term consequence, like a health condition, which is they often found that they have an ability to breathe in a proper way, because all of the soot, because all of the ashes, because all of the dirt that comes in through their nose and lungs. So they also have bad breathing, because it consists chemical substance, and their bodies couldn't grow properly. So most of the chimney sweeper looks like, in Indonesia we call it malnutrisi, abnormal, because they are looks like very tiny, very thin, as they shouldn't have bigger bodies, they shouldn't keep fat in their bodies. They have breathing problem, they have lungs problem, they looks very dirty, and sometimes they are not able to wash themselves. It's terrible. And some people saw how this is very awful and tried to help them actually. So there was a man named Jonas Hanway, who was one of the first to speak up about the phenomenon of chimney sweeper. He and groups of people wanted to find ways to clean the chimney sweeper without using kids as their tools. Instead, they realized that maybe we can use technology. Slowly, the people that influenced by this man named Jonas Hanway started to also realize that this is very unfair to the kids. This is very, very unfair, very immoral, very sad, very heart touching. So this is the start of one of the great movement or revolution to solve the problem of chimney sweeper. So after the influence from Jonas Hanway, many people start to think the same way, that this is not right. So one of the people in England named William Blake, he created a poem that actually not only critique, he made a poem that actually represent how the feeling of the chimney sweeper, the kids of chimney sweeper, by using a poem named A Chimney Sweeper. So this guy is one of the famous writer, one again named William Blake, wrote poems about this phenomenon. His film showed how innocent these kids were and how badly they were treated. He talked about their dreams and how unfair their lives were. These stories help people understand what these children went through. So this is the example of how his poem looked like, and that's how his poem looks like. And then simple act from Jonas Henway, simple art from William Blake's create or made the government made some laws actually to try and protect these kids. So this is actually working. Every critic for the government, it works. The first one in 1988. This is the first law that created in 1798, but it's not really worked in proper way. Though it's already created, more laws came later saying kids should not do this job, but people didn't always follow them. A man named Lord Shrewsbury worked really hard to get better laws passed. It took a long time, but finally in 1875 they made a law that stopped kids from being used to clean chimney. And one of the things that helped stop kids from cleaning chimney was technology, as I said. Many people or corporation invented machine to clean them. This machine was safer and did the job without needing small child to climb inside. So I will give you a picture or example about the technology and the invention what these people brought. I will give you the example. And then at the end of the time or of the time sorry so in the end of time, even though kids don't clean chimney anymore, we still have some old stories or history about those kids bringing good luck. So but their real story is actually sad and heart touching, and it becomes a reminder of a time when kids had to do dangerous job, face the truth of life that there are child labor, dangerous work, and how important that we as a human, as a parent, how important is to protect child and how important is our kids to our lives. So that is the history of chimney sweeper. I hope it give you a great image in how sad the kids' life in the England of during the time of 1700s to 1800s, and I hope we could learn something from it. And after this, I will provide you with a video that will explain more about chimney sweeper. I hope it will give you more explanation, and thank you very much for your attention and views. I hope we could find in another occasion. Thank you, and I will see you next time.